welcome everyone to Sunday Sentiments.
Of course, this is a hate crime.
And if she's found guilty, then she has to face the consequences.
They normally end up killing some particular kinds of people.
It's a violation of human rights.
That's a very traumatic event.
So I just wanted to ask the panel about their own opinions on this topic.
Hello everyone and welcome to Sunday Sentiments. Sunday Sentiments is a segment on our YouTube channel where a panel comes together and discusses hot topics and current events from all across the world. Please do be aware though that the views that are shared on this panel do not reflect the views of Four Rings. These are everybody's personal opinions that they've decided to share with us. Thank you so much for watching and I hope you enjoy the video.
We're going to move on to the story that's related. It's another shooting. This was done in America, in Chicago, on Independence Day. People are celebrating, celebrating Independence Day. Everyone is happy, sun is out or whatever, and this guy decides to come out and just shoot people. He shot 6 people, and the police went up after him because he fled, caught him. He wasn't shot dead. And I want you to think about the other story that was from the day before that, where a man who had committed a traffic violation and was fleeing from the police. For me, since he was a black man, maybe he thought if I stop, I will just end up dead. And unfortunately, guys, he still did end up dead. He was shot 60 times by the police. And a video has been released, body cam of the police, of how erratic and the police were when going after him and shooting him 60 times. And when you compare with the apprehending of this guy who was heavily armed, shot people dead, the way the police approached him and arrested him, very different from a guy who just committed a traffic violation, nothing harmful to other human beings, ended up dead. So I want to discuss this with you guys. What do you think of this story?
Yeah, my opinion on this is that, for the past, few years since George Floyd, people have been bringing up the fact that there's a lot of double standards when it comes to these shooters. And it's just tiring when you see nothing changing. No one's speaking about it. We like to say, oh, all these presidents are for us. But, they never actually say that type of stuff or speak out about that stuff. Maybe a few times here and there, but it's just like they're trying to keep it safe. And I believe that more people who have power should be talking about how there's always a double standard and not sugarcoat it by saying like, oh, there's a double. White men get different treatment from Black people in general. There are so many more mass shootings, but people still love to say, oh, Black people, you're violent, this. All these mass shootings that you're seeing are done mainly by white people. Why are you still afraid of Black people or using it as an excuse to shoot Black people? It can't be an excuse anymore because the ones who are actually causing more damage are your own people. Thank you very much. And that's my opinion on like how, white supremacy is just allowed to just disappear and not be spoken about. But because one Black man robbed Skittles from a store, like that's what you're scared of. You're not scared of your kid going to school and getting shot by a white guy. But no one wants to say the full statement of it is white people who are doing this type of things. They love to quickly jump to the fact that maybe if Black people didn't do this, or maybe if white people didn't do this, kids would not be dying every single year in your schools. But no one wants to make these statements because of white supremacy, because if you say anything to them, they'll use an excuse of it was your fault, you did this. The people who are shooting Black people are white people. Those Black
White
people
men,
weren't shooting
Jamila.
Black. Huh? Pardon?
I said white men.
Men.
Yes, white men. I mean, like the ones who are shooting these, Black people who have done specific things, the police officers, you know, like they are white men. And it's just like, it's annoying that the excuse of Black people do this, Black people do that is still being used when the majority that I'm hearing about of killing with guns is not Black people.
Thank you, Jamila. Obviously, I can hear you're very upset and very triggered, and we have to take that into consideration when people of color talk about these issues, because they do affect us, they do affect people of color on another level, not just as human beings, but then also as people of color. Yes, I would like to stress, as I had said before, a majority of these mass shootings, police shootings, it's white males. So maybe that's a discussion. Maybe that's something we need to talk about. Why? Why? Why is it that way? This is statistics. It's not just us pulling up information from thin air. This is actual statistics. Thank you, Jamila, for sharing. Yes, Keshi.
Yeah, my opinion about that is summed up in this. Somebody tweeted, and he tweeted that the last 24 hours, they said cops had no choice but to shoot an unarmed Jayland Walker 60 times and kill him because he fled. Now cops calmly arrested a heavily armed, I won't say his name, as he fled after killing 6 people and injuring 24 more. A system cannot fail those it was never meant to protect.
Thanks, Keshi. That's just so sad. And yes, I've watched this video, and there's no threat. I mean, other than him fleeing, he wasn't like fleeing while shooting at them, or he was actually driving and they came and flooded his car, like about 10 policemen just shooting. Like they don't, just pointing and shooting. I just don't even understand. It's almost as if they took a shot of, I don't know what, speed, and just went crazy. It's unfathomable when you then the next day see this calm arrest of somebody who shot 6 and injured 24. There needs to be a discussion had on the double standards and why Black and brown people might not feel safe even stopping during a traffic violation, because they just don't know what will happen to them. And unfortunately with this guy, he still ended up dead, which is so sad. Apparently there was a gun found at the back of his car. But the police have confirmed he was unarmed, but they found a gun. I don't know about that. The minute I see a body cam actually showing them approaching the car and finding the gun, then I'll believe it. Otherwise, there was a gun somewhere in the car and we thought we had a gunshot. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. You can't have, first of all, why were 20 cops going after one guy for a traffic violation? Everything is disproportionate. So it's very upsetting. I understand why Jamila, as a young person, is so upset. And it's time that our allies listened instead of getting triggered that somebody is getting upset over this unfair and unequal treatment. Just listen and help us fight this inequality and this double standards when it comes to policing Black and brown people. I don't know if anyone else wants to say something.
I think there's really not much to say because it's a constant. It happens over again, and what we don't see is enough consequences also for the police involved. You know, with 60 people shooting, of course, you know, it's very hard to work out with 60 bullets being shot and so many policemen. It's very hard to work out who did what. But
Yeah.
for me, there has to be even a collective consequence. But this is the thing, we just move on. It happens and then we move on to the next one, and it happens over and over again. That's why it's almost impossible to say something.
Yeah, I know. It's just one of those, you almost become numb or desensitized to these stories because you just hear them every other day. I can't even imagine, first of all, what it's like to live in America with this kind of news on a daily basis. And also for Black and brown people in America, what it's like to not know if one, you'll be shot by a mass shooter who's just gone gun crazy, or you'll be shot by the police. It's not a good way to exist. So we're very sad about the story in Denmark. That was shocking because it's not the usual compared to what's happening in America. But I can see some similarities in terms of how people are treated by the law enforcement. And I think that's what we just wanted to discuss. We don't have to go deep into it. The facts speak for themselves. We just need allies, people coming out, calling out these double standards, and just working together to be anti-racist.
Chico, I mean,
Yeah.
everyone, I really cannot help myself. While I'm just listening, even read about this story, the only word that came in my mind was slavery. I find myself going back in slavery. It's like
Yeah.
there is slavery going indirectly, you
Yeah.
know, on our people, because yes, we saw what happened in the history, whatever. But what's the difference really when you think about it? Because people, it's like this killing is happening in America every week, you know, probably every, I don't know, but when you see how Black Americans or brown are being treated, I mean, shooting someone without even having a gun, how will you explain that? You can't just say it's a protection, it's a whatever. It means it's just in their blood thinking that this is the first reaction you have to do. Could they have done it if that person was white? So for me, there is a slavery, whether we still we want to talk about it or not. It probably not as much was happening, but probably even more. It was known this is happening indirectly, abusing people, killing people. And yes, Jamila, I honestly, I actually am proud of you because the passion, you know, you're young, and this is the more younger people are getting involved, and really the more we hear about how you feel, why you think it's probably the best solution will come from a younger generation. Because if old or whatever people before us have been trying to deal with this type of things and nothing happened, probably, yeah, we definitely need younger generation to kind of raise their voices and, you know, see what they think. Hopefully that will make a difference. I don't know. I agree with you, Catherine. It's sometimes it's too much. You don't know what to say.
Yeah.
And for us as well who don't live there, imagine if people wake up, can't even go out or even go out thinking we're not gonna come back. So I really empathize with them. I can't even, yeah, it is sad that we still live in this, well, these things is still happening.
Yeah, thank you,
nowadays.
Marie-Claire. And what you've said about, yeah, that's a good point about it's like we're back in the slavery days. And I know it's not to the same extent, but it's still the same. This is tying to Jamila's point. It's still the same stereotype of the dangerous Black man or the dangerous Black person. We're so scared of them. They're just going to harm us. And Jamila made a good point. All these mass shootings where hundreds of people have been killed. Who is doing it? You know, who's doing it?
Okay, by the way, let's not forget that America was built on blood of slavery people. And now that what they are getting?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's just something that is frustrating for us, even as Black people in the diaspora, or just in other parts of the world, because we see ourselves in them, and then we see some similarities. And I know it's not to the same extent, but there are still double standards, you know, in the Western, I don't know if it's called hemisphere or whatever, the Western world, in how Black and brown people are treated, especially when it comes to the law and criminal justice and the police. There's a lack of trust. Many communities across the Western world that are from minoritized communities just do not have the trust in the police. And there's a reason for that. It's the double standard. It's the feeling unsafe. It's the feeling as if you're judged even before you commit a crime. Yes,
and I
Keshi.
think the comparison to slavery is also like the value that a life seems to have.
Yeah.
And this is what upsets me so much. It's just that there seems to be a different value attached if you're a white criminal or a black person. And I say that on purpose because this is obviously a white criminal in Denmark because he has shot people, and there is just a black man running away for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And it's just there's a different value for these lives, and that's very, very upsetting.
Thank you.
this
That's
day.
a good point. That's a good point, Catherine. It's the value attached to black and brown bodies versus white criminals. So thanks for that. White male criminals. I'm sorry, I have to keep adding that because especially when it comes to these mass shootings, the statistics speak for themselves, including the police shootings. Keshi, let's finalize with, yeah?
Yeah, I just wanted to conclude with saying that we send our condolences to the families affected in all these shootings here in Denmark. The dead actually are two 17-year-olds. So think about that mother's two 17-year-olds and a 46-year-old man. In the US, I don't know about the age, but we send our condolences to those families here and in Denmark. And we are asking our governments, what are they going to do now that we are having this crisis with shootings, even in places where you don't expect? Like Catherine says, they come in clusters. Who knows what will come next in which country? So we are asking governments, what are they going to do about gun control? Also in Denmark, where people having access to guns because they belong to shooting clubs. That's a question that our politicians should be asking.
Thanks, Keshi, for remembering the victims. We can get all, emotional and upset about these events, but we need to also remember the actual people affected directly and just, spare a moment to think about them. I also want to add, shucks, my mind has gone blank. There's something I wanted to say about,
Maybe
also about things being flagged up. We didn't talk a lot about that this guy had posted a video, and there was a discussion online of why wasn't the police alerted, and people are saying usually people will let the social media platform know, and then of course they have a team of people. By the time they get to that video, something has happened. So there needs to be, people need to be told, when you see that, forget about reporting it to YouTube or Facebook or whoever, report to the police. I think collectively we can come together and just, people be encouraged. If you see something that looks suspicious, straight to the police, not the social media platform. And I mean online.
Shiko, people will question and say, what are they going to do? This American shooter was known to the FBI. So if the FBI already knows this guy, his history and what he's been posting, and that he's buying guns and all this, our guy here in Denmark was known in psychiatry. Shouldn't those people be keeping an eye on this kind of people if they are known? Because this guy in America, that was not the first. He has done other things that made him be flagged by the police and the FBI. So that's a question they should be asking themselves. And in every case where there's a mass shooter in the US, that person is known by police or whoever keeps an eye on those kind of people.
And often they also announce on social media, they announce what they're planning to do. They publish their manifest, and so this is what I was going to say, that what we all can do is to look out if we see any signs of people sending out very scary messages, and take it serious, and also not to share and not to like violent content. And I think again the social media companies are really have to be held accountable as well, that they look out for that sort of violent content not to be shared. And again, coming back to no glorification of violence and terror.
Yeah, thank you all. Thank you so much for sharing your viewpoints. It's a very sad couple of days from this news around the world, from Denmark and from Chicago, people just dying aimlessly. Like there was no need for that, for somebody to just wake up and decide to take lives. So our thoughts are with the victims, their families, and we really hope, yeah, we can only hope for the best. You know, with what's going on around the world, we know usually these kind of situations and set of circumstances just lead to things getting worse before they get better. So keep safe, young people, older people, everyone just keep safe, look out for each other. And yeah, that's all we can say. Thanks for joining.
Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, subscribe, and press that little notification bell to know when we next post any of our videos. We truly do appreciate the support. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.